emails those were discussed, so.
We're up live.
Do it via phone call, but I did receive a phone call about a hearing on those checks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at the other day for the website. I did update our website where it does reflect Scott replacing Neil. Some other options is to Photoshop Scott's head on the Neil. So.
How about a new picture?
I like the new picture idea. We'll have to get Dean and Jean in here to do that, obviously. That wasn't. Yeah, but like I said, the county website does reflect it at least, so people are aware.
No, because I feel like I'm in the middle, like, look at me.
Most important, Courtney.
That is,
And
your
I-
documentation is the most important
That is-
thing for us all.
Yeah,
That is the truth.
you do need to be there.
Are there 4 people watching?
Good morning.
I can tell you. I know I need to get fancy and get you guys like a live count up in the corner or something. You can do.
When I used to watch at home, I could see how many were happening.
Yeah, you're watching on YouTube, not through the Zoom. This is
Yeah.
where you can actually talk and participate in the meeting. YouTube's where we just live stream it. It's just a rebroadcast, and it's actually like 30, 40 seconds behind.
Yep. Too much.
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, and the nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, again.
Good morning.
Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? Courtney, do you have anything additional?
No.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Next is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I thought the minutes read well. I'll make a motion that we approve them for the January 11th meeting.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Courtney, thank you for including the resolution in the minutes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is Wellmark fiscal year 22 health plan renewal. They available here? You on there?
Clark is here.
Okay. Are we just gonna, okay. You're just gonna be on audio then?
Well, it doesn't look like my camera is going to let me show you, but I want to share my screen if I can.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll turn it over to you, Clark.
Okay. Let me just make sure I know what I'm doing here. It's the first time I've done a Zoom meeting. Usually we do go-to meetings. Does somebody need to allow me to share my screen?
Yeah, you can do
Uh,
it.
You should be able to do it now, Clark.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go.
Let me see if I can make it a little bigger so everybody can see it. Oh, hold on a second.
You have the printouts too, so.
Okay.
Can you guys see it online?
Yeah, I've got it on my computer.
Yeah, I got it on my screen at home.
Okay, because we have hard prints here too, Clark, so.
Okay.
Once
That
we
might
figure
be
out once we figure out the page you're on, we're okay.
Well, that way we can
Okay.
follow which form you're on too by putting it up there, but we don't have to look at it that close. We can look on our
Well,
stuff.
now it just kicked me out of the Zoom meeting. Let me try this again. You love this technology from home. Bear with me. If you guys got a couple other agenda items, you can real quick. You can do those if you like. It's up to you.
Number two, probably would take that one more.
Should. Any questions?
You think it's gonna take you a while?
Well, it closed me out of my Outlook too, so I need to get back up here for a second. It might take me about five minutes or so if you got something quick you want to
Okay.
talk about.
Let's go to the next item then, county engineer employment agreement. Zach there?
Yes,
Okay.
Morning, Seth.
Okay, we have the employment agreement for Zach. It doesn't seem like it's been a year, but so Zach needs to redo his employment agreement. And Zach had a conversation with me about getting us back on a fiscal year rotation. So that's why he's in his here. He's got a 18-month contract, is to get it back to our fiscal year, which I think is probably a good idea. So I think you all have a copy of that. You got anything else to add on that, Zach?
No, not really. No, I guess nothing really changed other than salary, and guess if there's any questions, I can answer those.
Does anybody have any questions for Zach?
In this number
No.
7, as I look at that, it says the annual salary of, says January 1st to June 30th. That's a 6-month period.
Right.
And that is virtually the same amount of money that the yearly total is. Am I correct on that? July 1st to June 30th of 22?
yeah, that's why it says annuals.
Annual.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're doing,
That's half of that basically for
Correct.
for that 6 months.
Yeah.
Correct. No, that's just how John worded it. If we want to do something different, I'm fine with that as well.
No, I just want to make sure that one is, you're not making it for 6
Yeah,
months.
that's correct.
Well, I'm sure you'd like to, but
I would take it, but I
yeah,
probably wouldn't.
I'm sure you would.
Nope. clarification.
Any other questions for Zach?
No, I thought the contract read just like very well, looked like a good contract. We're looking for a motion to approve this.
Yes.
I would so make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary, motion carried. Courtney, have that up to your office. I'll probably stop later today and sign that then. Anything else for Zach? You got anything else for us, Zach, or?
Don't,
Any
just,
issues over the snowstorm?
it was slick underneath the spots where there was drifts. We had some issues with that, but we did get things pushed back and cleared off. They went out Saturday, a good part of the day, and for not getting that much snow, it sure blew. But overall,
Yeah, I pretty much filled the ditches, Zach. So she's going to be rough right now for a while until we
Don't get a
get
no.
some thawing.
well, there's some slight chances, but I see the next substantial chances next weekend possibly, but we'll see what happens between now and then, so.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay, let's do the fiscal 21 semi-annual substance abuse prevention treatment grant. This is a review. This is not an application, right, Courtney?
Correct. We do it every 6 months.
Yeah. I think you have all got a copy of that. It tells what the goals and stuff were. Was there any questions on that?
And there has been no changes, so.
Yeah. So we need a motion then to approve this report.
Yeah, I need a motion for you to approve the report and authorize Joanne Martin to sign.
Okay. So we need to put that in that same motion. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary, motion carried.
My only question is, why do we have to do this semi-annually? I mean,
Because it's a state deal.
well, I understand that, but I still don't get it.
I agree with you. And the worst part is that signature part. That's why we need to put that in that motion for. Yeah. It gets to be a. How are we doing with Wellmark here?
Looks like he's still at it. We could do number 5.
Yeah, let's go ahead with that then. On the canvas of drain 23.
Okay, so we had 8 total votes. 6 of those were absentee and 2 voted on election day. The 2 that voted on election day were the ones here working, so they didn't have any voters come in. But this was for drain 23 to represent election district number 1. Scott Lenz received 8 total votes, so he would be declared elected for a term of 3 years. Take effect today. That is the drain 23 campus.
Scotland.
Scott
Lenz, and he is the current board member.
Is there a way we can do away with that, have to stay open and not have anybody show up, like by doing a mail-in thing, or?
Only if legislation would change. Right now, the code says
I mean, that's a costly deal.
4 hours.
Could we have 1 employee or 2 employees?
1. Emily.
All day for,
Well, 4
for staff,
hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
And there were no. that came
Nobody.
that day.
No, other than the 2 people that voted that were working.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so we had 6 absentees and 2 voters, but the 2 voters were the 2 people working, so nobody came in. which isn't unusual. I mean, I think the last time we did this, we had 6 votes, so. we had a couple.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the canvas then?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, let's go down to manure management annual update. We have one is 286 Finishers, Section 5 of Glidden Township. They added acres, changed crop rotation for optimum yields, and it's a 4-year update. Courtney, do you want to go into that budget amendment?
I can sure start, and then when he's available, we can stop. That's fine with me.
Okay.
Gene, I just have one question for you on the Drain 23 election. Is that something that we can bring up to ISAC and make that a legislative priority to get that changed? I'm sure that other counties are dealing with the same thing.
I think there's probably, I agree with you, Dean, but I think also there's probably very few of these through the state that where they actually vote on trustees, because we only have one of these. But yeah, we could do that. I mean,
Well, I mean, if there's 10 across the state, gee, why wouldn't we want to get that changed?
I mean, you talk about cost of elections. This one is a high-priced election for a number of voters, and then you got somebody working all day, and only 2 people that are working vote.
You out there I know of, but not a lot.
I would like to see it be that, you could come in and vote for this for like a month or something.
Oh,
You'd have to
well,
vote
yeah, something like that would be fine too.
rather than having it be open on a Saturday.
Well,
Yep.
that or yeah, change that from a Saturday to a Friday.
Yeah,
That would take care of it too.
it would.
I don't know if there's
Yeah,
any.
change it to a different date the election is on.
So how did the absentee ballots, did they come in and vote? The
Yes.
6 ballots?
Yes.
Okay,
And you can't really have it during a regular election because there's different rules. You don't have to be a registered voter to vote in this. You just have to own property in the drain. So,
I think the thing to do, Dean, would be to change the date of the election to a Friday or Thursday or something like that.
Yeah.
That way your people would be there working anyway.
yep.
or just have it completely by absentee voting.
I don't know that you can do that. I
Well-
think that might be infringement of someone's whatever. You know how that things go.
Sure.
But yeah, we we can surely bring that up. It's probably too late for this year, but to get it, you're talking to get it into one of the ISAC priorities. And that might be difficult. It'd take probably several years to get that done, but
Well, even if it's only a priority for a few counties, I think it still needs to be done.
well, it only makes sense instead of spending all that money.
Yep.
Okay, let's go into the budget amendment then.
All right. So I'm gonna go off the sheet that, it has expenditures on the left and revenue on the right. We'll just go down and look at those. Everybody find that sheet? Okay. So if you start at I'll do expenditures, and then if there's revenue to offset it, I'll explain that along. So the first thing I have is Tyler Technologies. There was an invoice paid in error, and they're gonna refund us. So that's an in and out. You see that 42,000. The 19,174, it's gonna go into the home care aid pass-through grant. That was some Iowa CARES Act grant money that was received that went to public health. But the county being the fiduciary, it went through our account and out to them, and we didn't budget for that, so you'll see it in and out there as well. The next thing is conservation park maintenance repairs, $9,000. Let me find the email from Jason so we can explain what's going on there. Getting close. Okay, found it. So what that's for is he said we had to remove a lot of ash trees that were planned or planted, I'm not sure. That's a typo. Planned on. A lot more than they planned on. So consequently, they had more stumps to grind, which he did budget for, and he also had to fix a fairly large section of trail down at Riverside Park that was damaged when we put a water line in. He did not have that expense budgeted for because he wasn't planning on the trail being damaged, but it was unavoidable to get the water line in. So that's what his explanation is on that $9,000. Com Center back holiday pay, $4,700. What happened is we changed the handbook changed on how we pay out holiday pay. And Jason down in the Com Center didn't have the newest version. So those employees were not getting paid the correct amount of holiday pay. Our audit caught that and we were able to make that adjustment and get those people paid. Com Center. That's weird. So that's what that is for. All right, the next one is the Fricky building. That is dollars for the roof. I don't know if any of you have talked to Zach, but they have a mess over there. Anytime it rains or snow melts. I mean, they have water, they have buckets set up all over DHS's office. There's buckets everywhere. There's sheetrock, windows, things getting damaged because of the water. And he did get 2 quotes to repair the roof, and they could do it this spring. I put that dollar amount in there because this is an ongoing thing. This roof should have been fixed a long time ago. And it's in there. Obviously, that's your decision whether or not to keep it in there, but it is in there and we've got a quote to do it. If you want to talk about that now, we can, or I can just keep moving on and we can come back to it. The next line is IT salaries. That's $30,000, and that pays for the new hire. That was not budgeted for in the current budget. Accounting and auditing, we paid for our fiscal 20 audit in this budget year. Well, we also had another audit done in the meantime that we have to pay for. So since the state was late in billing us, we had 2 audits that we're paying for in the same year.
It's doubled up.
Yeah, and that happens once in a while if the state's taking longer to get our audit done. But the company that we use this year, they seem to be moving right along. And I haven't seen anything finalized yet, but I haven't heard from them either, so they must be finalizing that. The liability insurance, $10,015, and then the real property insurance, $8,031. I think Terry explained that when he was here, and we talked about our insurance going up. It's not quite $20,000. And then drainage assessments. So we pay for drainage assessments out of Department 99, and we were short this time. We budgeted, I believe, around $7,000, and we still owe $3,592. We need to get that paid to the treasurer. So I see Clark on there, so if we want to stop there.
Are you ready for us, Clark? Clark, are you ready for us?
Audio's not connected yet.
Yeah, he's got to set up his audio.
I don't think he's ready for us.
Thanks for
Hi guys, this is Kareem Amiri. I work with Clark, and he's been having computer issues, so I know he's trying to get his audio connected now. He's almost there.
Okay.
We can probably finish this, Gene.
That was on my list of things to.
Why don't you continue on, Courtney?
Right. Okay, so that's the general fund expenditures. I'm gonna go over to revenues. You can see that the sheriff, ambulance, comm center, and jail, there's COVID grant money that we received from the state. And what I'm doing is I initially deposited our whole check into the local option fund just to get the money in our account. And you can see that down below, it's $255,652. And what I'm doing now is I'm taking it out of local option and I'm dispersing it in those funds that we actually, when we submitted for the grant, we used payroll expenses. So that's what that is there. So I'm dispersing that $255,652. I'm putting it back into the general fund, and you'll see down below in the rural fund, I believe, for the sheriff. So I just took an equal portion and gave you money back. Let's see here. So if you move down a little further to rural services, you'll see that COVID grant there for the sheriff. That's similar to the ones above, and that is a revenue. Local option, I have talked to Jason and to Ray, and there's probably about $65,000 that we need to put in there to get that project finished up. And that's coming out of local option. You'll see the COVID grant right below that. That's an in and an out. So we initially put it in, and now I'm taking it out and dispersing it like I explained before. Moving down, we've got the jail project. This is a capital fund. This is money being used from our bond proceeds. But based on where they're at with the project, we need some more money in there to be able to pay. There's only about $700,000 left in that line, and I'm assuming the way the project's going, there'll be more than $700,000 in expenses before the end of the year. So estimated 1.9 there. Great Western Park, $10,000. I should not have put that back. That's a Jason thing again. Conservation. Well, that one's an easy one. They got money, they received money, I think.
Probably for CRP acres.
Yeah.
Well, that's Great Western Park. Are you talking about the East Shelter?
Well, it'd be the Great Western Park. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's Jason's thing. I knew I shouldn't have put that back together. Here we go. Okay, so Great Western Park, $10,000 for CRP improvements. Under a new CRP contract, we've received 45 acres. We'll get cost share back to cover most of the seed expenses, and we'll do the work in-house. So that's what the 10,000 is. Now we've got 40,000 in expenses for the East Shelter, but also being offset by $30,000 in revenues. And the explanation on that one is the 30,000 is for additional fundraising by the Conservation Foundation related to the East Shelter Park or Shelter Project and Playground. And they've also applied for Community Foundation for funds for the playground. So, and then I don't think he really details what the, oh, he does, sorry. $40,000 in expense for the East Shelter Project. It includes expenses for a playground at the shelter if they get fundraising in place to do it. Just want it in case we hit that, or we get to that this budget year. And he's also going to budget for it in fiscal 22 in case it doesn't happen after July. He just wants to be prepared either way. And that is his capital fund. So that's the fund that he does oversee. Below that, we've got debt service. So we did that project with ISIX, where we received money in for bonds, and then we paid Motorola off. And we are gonna owe some bond payments. Well, that, basically that debt service fund was kind of messed up because of that. We had money budgeted to pay for the jail. We already had that bonding in place, but the $710,000 did not get budgeted for. Even though we levied to pay for it, it wasn't in the budget to actually spend it. So that was an error on my part, but I wanted to correct that so we can pay that in May. And then below that, you'll see the ISIX principal. So what I did is I accounted for the bond proceeds, which was 3.5 million. And then I accounted for us spending the money out to Motorola, which was 3.4 million. So it looks, I mean, obviously you look at expenses and it looks super high. But you've got to understand that the 1.9 million we're budgeting for is bond money. I mean, that's money that was budgeted to spend on the jail. And the other big one is that ISIX. And that was something that wasn't planned on, but we went ahead and did because it was smart to do it. So it really inflates that number quite a bit. So that's all I have for this one. Obviously, there'll probably need to be some discussion on it, but that's it on the short story, I guess.
Any questions on that? So when are you planning on setting up your request is for a meeting? When?
February 1st. And to be honest with you, the only one I think that needs some discussion, and that this is just my opinion, would be the roof. I think the other ones are just ones that we need to do because I don't think there's really.
Well, and I don't know, there's that much discussion on a roof. We got to do something. We can't keep letting things can't let it keep deteriorating. That is a sloped roof on that building, if I remember right, isn't it?
All I can answer is that it's a flat roof and not everybody works on those. That's all I can really answer on that.
But isn't there a slope to the back side of it? Or I mean, that slopes to one side a little bit?
A little bit, but it's fairly flat. And speaking with Zach, I think we only received one.
I think he had 2 quotes.
Did he finally get the second one?
Yeah, but they were company out of Des Moines.
Yeah. They're hard to find. Flat roof people are.
Well, I wonder if there wouldn't be smart to, they can add some board in there and change that pitch a little bit, if that would be very expensive to do that. Get more pitch on it so we don't have as much trouble with that roof. But I have no problem with the 45,000. I think we need to maintain the building. We can't have buckets sitting around.
I don't know what the longevity was on the last roof. Was it 20 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know that. So I'm okay with fixing it the way it is, I guess. It's going to add a pretty good chunk of money if you try to change the pitch. That's going to require some construction, and then we've got.
Well, no, I think a lot of times, Rich, what they do is they just use that insulation board and just put layered on there to get more of a pitch. But that's something that we could look in before they do it, if that's the case. And I have no problem with the 45,000. We need to maintain that building.
Is that is 45,000 a fix, or is it a complete repair of the whole roof?
My understanding that's for a complete repair of the whole roof.
That's a whole new roof, right?
That's my understanding. You'd want to probably talk to Zach and he can clarify that. He just gave me the amount.
That's how I recall it when he explained what he was looking for. So.
Okay.
I think the main problem with that roof was they had the fire over there and the roof never got replaced. That roof is from when there was a fire. Can you imagine all that heat? It probably destroyed it. No wonder it's.
Well, I think they did do a little bit of some patching, because I think if I remember right, there was some bubbling on that roof. And I think they did some patching. I think you're probably right. They didn't replace the whole roof at that time. So yeah, you're right. That roof probably needs to be done. Okay, is there any other questions on the budget amendment? Is there a motion?
If that's the case, I'd like to set it up for, let me find my sheet here. Yeah, I'd like to set it for February 1st at 9:30.
Okay, is there a motion to set the public hearing for February 1st at 9:30?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All those in favor, or is there further, any further discussion?
Just 1 second. Do we need to?
No, we've gotten multiple bids. And
That one.
Yep.
No, never mind.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary? Motion carried.
obviously you guys will be going through.
Okay. Well,
Hey,
Mark, you
Clark.
ready?
Clark is ready. Can you hear me?
You bet. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, so it says I'm probably still trying to connect, and I apologize for the inconvenience here. As you can see, Kareem Amiri is online too. He's my leader, and he always likes to come out to my best clients and watch a renewal meeting. So here you are. I apologize for the system issues. We got a couple of different things going on here at Wellmark, especially with the home environment, and I screwed it up. So I won't get into more details, but can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, I just put a quick agenda together just so we kind of know what we're going to do. Kind of no different than any other meeting that I've come out and done. We're going to go over some reports. I'm going to go over some self-funded billing reports, see how the years went, how things are going. Look at some renewal reports, that annual report that talks about claims and how you're spending your money. And then we're going to talk about the renewal. We're going to talk about total care that you guys have taken advantage of, and I think it's really helped you. We'll talk about the cost of that, and then we'll talk about the dental renewal. I do have a couple of options at the end of the presentation or the meeting to maybe look at something we might want to look at going forward, and we'll discuss that at that time. But I didn't write this down, but this is your meeting, not my meeting, so questions are definitely welcome. So we want to make sure that you get the most out of this hour that we're going to talk. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Okay. So I'm going to start with that ag report. This is something that comes out every month. So you see this. This comes out every month, talks about how you're spending your money. So you see the facility claims, the practitioner claims, and the pharmacy claims. So you see your total claims. I did highlight a couple of things here. We're starting to pay some stop loss. So we're up over the 50,000. So we're starting to give you some credit back for stop loss. But when you look at the second page, kind of tells you the maximum. So this report just kind of shows where you are on the ag level. So the ag level is the estimated deductible is the first column. The minimum is the suggested rates. So I know you guys are not even charging the suggested rate, so you're a little bit below of that. But you can see on our expected claims and where your ag level is going, you're running at a pretty good deficit, or excuse me, surplus. So those numbers are actually, when you see the surplus column and you see a number of $601,000, those are inflated 25% for the ag level. And then plus you're not charging quite the same amount as the suggested rate. So I would guess, Courtney, you're still seeing a pretty good leftover for claim dollars. Is that correct?
Yes.
So your balance is definitely growing. This next part of this is kind of shows you where you were at the end of the last year. So since you have a 12-18 contract, so everything kind of rolls at a 12-18 level. So you're paying some stop loss for 6 more months after the renewal. And you can see we paid $103,000, almost $104,000 worth of stop loss credits, which isn't too bad, especially when you're talking about 50,000 as a stop loss level. We'll get into more details when we talk about the renewal. Again, the surplus here that you're seeing this number is a little overinflated, but it's still a substantial number you guys are probably seeing over one contract to the next. Again, stop me if you have questions. This is the 2-year summary. So this talks about all the fees that you pay, the total claims, stop loss premium. I give you this just to kind of show you your premium, or excuse me, your pharmacy rebates. So your pharmacy rebates is when you get some specialty medications that the manufacturer gives us money back for rebates, and we pass those right directly back to you. You've seen you just had a credit in November of almost $11,000, back in August, close to $20,000. As I tell all my customers, those are nice to have, but those are bad to have too. That just means you're spending a lot of money to get some credit. It's kind of like getting your cash back on your credit card. It's like, wait a minute, I'm spending too much money to get that cash back. But you are getting some cash back. And we'll talk about the details when we get into the annual report. So this is the report that gets pulled every year. This is the information that that underwriting uses for their renewal. So when you look at the time period, you see November through October, but it's paid through November. So we're looking at the incurred date, but settled through November. So this is a page you usually start with. It talks about those time periods, but we go back not only the current period, we look at the prior, we look back 3 or 4 years. So you look at the highlighted information, the total paid is down. So we're looking at a little over $1.3 million that is totally paid. The pharmacy is down a little bit as well, and medical is also down. COVID has had a little bit of an impact with that. I think they've had, we see a few customers, and you guys are no different, that have had a few months that were really down just because everybody was hunkered into their house, or they weren't able to go to the doctor, they weren't able to go to the hospital unless you're really sick. So all those surgeries and stuff have kind of slowed down. We've seen an uptick in the fourth quarter, but you guys have run really well with that. You look at the bottom of the page, it talks about your enrollment. So you've got a few more employees, and again, you're growing your dependents. You guys got a lot of dependents, so you got 318 members totally on your plan today. This kind of shows you your distribution of your enrollment. So over on the top right, you can see, again, most of them are in Iowa. You do have a couple of members that are in Missouri. And I don't know if those are employees or those are, I'm guessing they're not employees. They could be just some dependents. No different than any other year. You know, you still have a pretty good portion of your employees are male, about 55 to 45. But when you get down to the bottom of the page, when we look at total enrollment, it is about as close to 50-50 as you can get, males and females. This kind of shows you your distribution of your membership. So lots of kids. You see the second column here, the second graph, you got 62 school-age children. And you also have, when you look at the right-hand side of that, you have 18 people that are over the age of 65. Those are not just employees; those are also members. So you do have quite a few that are over age 65. You look at distribution of your employees, how they elect. You do have 36% of them are single, but you have quite a few that have family too, and then in between. So usually I see that single number a little bit higher, but you guys do give a little bit of extra money for those dependents, so you get quite a few family contracts. We talk about network savings. So on the top right, you can see you saved about 44%, a little over 43% on the charges and our discounts with our providers. So you've saved some money. You look at the bottom left, you can see almost 99% of your claims have gone through the network. You just have a handful of claims that went outside the network. And typically when I see that is usually some home medical or some kind of odd claim that did not go through the network. But everybody's using the network the way they need to, so that's good. This is always interesting to look at, and you guys do a good job here. when you look at claims paid by range, it talks about the percentage of your members that use the claim dollars. So you can see that top row, 10%, a little over 10%, 10.4% of your members use zero claim dollars. We like that number low because there's some ACA things that are available to you, and we want to make sure that we use those. But you have quite a few younger dependents that, you know, either they go just for schooling or ACA, or they don't do anything. And again, you have some males as well that will have a tendency not to use their health care benefits until they really need it. I do, I kind of draw some lines here. So I look at the 1,000, anybody less than 1,000. So you have 46%, 46.7% of your membership, or 161 people that use less than $1,000 of your claims. I draw another line at the 5,000. So 72.3%, or 200, almost 250 people use less than 18.5% of your claim dollars. So no different than any other group that I have. You guys have a small number of people, so 94 people, or 27% of your group, that uses 81% of your claim dollars. And that is typical for about any group that I have. This is just another page. It kind of shows you the actual number of people that I kind of transpose that into my notes. I go forward here to, this is the spend, the allowed charges by age band. So you can see the squiggly line that you see there is your distribution of your members. So again, a lot of school age kids, but they don't use any dollars. So very few dollars that are being used by those 5 to 18. You have those 18 people that are over age 65, and you have quite a few that are still in the 56 to 64 range. And that's where the age is, well, those are usually the ages that are starting to use some medical dollars, and it shows here on your plan as well. We'll dig a little deeper into that. I'm just going to skip through a few things here. This kind of shows me those, when you look at those age bands, we looked at the 65-year-olds and we look at the 56 to 64 that were a little bit higher than others. So you see there is a few dollars on cancers for the 56 to 64. The bones and muscles and ligaments are always a popular category for those a little bit older. Their joints need some repair or maybe replacement. So you see some of those dollars on there, and that's what the 65-year-old looks like something happened with the joint. Maybe they had a replacement. There's usually some digestive issues, glands and immune system. You look at the 26 to 35-year-old there that's highlighted. We had a baby, so we probably had more than one baby. But otherwise, nothing else really jumps out at me here. And we'll dig a little bit deeper. We go down the row here. We look at the inpatient stay. So this is where you've had some cancers that were in the hospital, and you had the bones and muscles and ligaments and the digestive. Those were the main categories, and again, you had a baby. But those dollars are nice and low. When I see hospital stays, I see some dollars that are a lot higher than $20,000 or $26,000. Now we're going to talk a little bit about outpatient, and we talk about outpatient, we talked about emergency room. You can see those dollars fluctuate from year to year, and they've went up just a little bit from prior. So 27,000, 26,489. You look at your number of visits that are highlighted down below there; those have stayed really consistent. So 27. You can see some diagnosis categories over there on the bottom right. You notice some blood pressure issues and some diabetes. Somebody got a wound to the head, it looks like. The reason why I look at those is just kind of, we do have doctors on demand that are available, but telehealth has definitely been the driver for a lot of claims this year due to COVID. Outpatient, again, we'll look at some of the diagnosis analysis. Nothing really jumps out. You see some genital and urinary heart. Somebody had some heart issues that were on here. Then we had some radiation that went along with the cancers. But again, nothing really jumps out. I see there is a digestive that I did not highlight, which I should. And I'm guessing that, and I think that was in the category of the 56 to the older. Then we look at office. So we talk about primary care physician. Those are your family doctors. The McFarland Clinic people that you go see, not the specialists. And you see the charge for that is typically running about $150 is what we pay. The non-PCP is those specialists, and you can see the cost for that is quite a bit higher than the regular family doctor. Telehealth is highlighted just because you see the paid per visit. When you look at doctors on demand, that fee is a little bit lower, but now the health systems are going into telemedicine, and they can charge basically the same as what they do above. So we've seen an increase in the telehealth cost. But it's nice and convenient. And I think it's not going to go away. I think it's going to continue. Just like COVID, it's not going to go away either. Hopefully someday. For the office, you can see that the only one that really stood out was the cancer. Top providers, the local hospital there in Carroll gets the most of the business. You can see you had 62 claimants. I did highlight Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic usually shows up, especially when you got cancers involved. You have a couple visits and running about $30,000. The top practitioners are down below, and you see Mayo Clinic is on there as well. And you can see the popular doctors that are in the network. And you can see at the bottom of the list, there's a chiropractor that made the list. So someone's keeping the chiropractor busy, or some people are keeping the chiropractor busy. Pharmacy. So like I said, pharmacy, the total cost or the amount paid has gone down slightly. You can see a couple of years ago, you're well over 300,000. You came down to about 240 last year. Now you're at 211. You see the highlighted there, the paid per prescription. That has gone down as well, and that usually shows me that the use of specialty medication has dropped a little bit. You look at the next page here, which I like. The total number of prescriptions have gone down, even though membership has gone up. The number of prescriptions has gone down, and it's gone down about every year when you look through the last few years. The generic utilization is fantastic. It's a little over 90%. Our block of business is about 86, so that's doing very well, especially since we have a full formulary. We're not limiting them on their drugs. Prescriptions for specialty medication, there is a few, and you can see that the cost of those, and we'll get into that here in just a second, how much more that is. So this is a list of your top medications. Humira is the top medication. Or excuse me, no, not Humira is the specialty medication that's on the list. You do have a few medications that are tied to either HIV or some immune system issue. You do have some blood thinners. Let me just get this out of the way here and get it over a little farther over here, so you can kind of see the total number of prescriptions and some of the costs. You can see the Humira was just three. Let me get that out of the way. 3 prescriptions, and it's $4,800 per prescription.
Clark,
Do have quite a few. Yes.
can I stop you for a second? So I know we've gone through quite a few screens, but this is extremely hard to read on our end. No, he just checked it. Is it blurry?
The bigger?
Yeah. It's extremely
It
blurry.
is on that It's on the annual report, and it's page 27.
I think it's.
Clark, did you send those to me?
I think I sent that to you.
Okay, okay.
If not, I will.
I'm to the point, I can't watch it anymore.
It's interesting information, but I can't see what you say.
It's very blurry on our end and we can't really read it.
Okay, well, I'll send it back to Courtney so she can distribute this to you guys. This just basically shows you your top 20. Is this page, is this blurry or has it always been blurry?
No, the whole program has been blurry.
Well, I will say this though, it's very clear from on our end.
Yeah,
If you have your tablet, just open your tablet and see it a lot better that way.
Or maybe the county needs to buy a bigger screen TV so you guys can see it better from that far away.
It's like everybody running everything makes it, Mark.
But there's quite a few diabetic medications, and no surprise when you got the ages of your group that you get some people that are either type 2 diabetes or type 1 diabetics.
All right.
There's quite a few of those on there too.
We can see it better now, Clark.
Okay, super.
Thank you.
Is there any question? You guys got any questions regarding that information?
No, it all looks pretty good to this point.
Yeah, it does. Let's go to the next one. This is your large claim. So this is a large claim, same time period, that November through November. So you can see that the lung cancer that's on here. They do expect a group your size to have 35 claims over 10,000. So in this report, there's 38 claims. In the last year, there was 36. The year before, there was 38. So a little bit higher than what we expect. But again, your plan design helps that a little bit. And plus, you've had some sickness, and it doesn't take $10,000. It does not take much to get to $10,000 these days. And you can saw on that last report, looking at the drugs, just a couple of medications can get you over that $10,000. Your stop loss is at 50,000. We expect to have 4. You currently have 3. So you can see there's top 3 that are over there. And I did not run this for just this year, which I could, but I did not at this time. So you did have a few more last year at 5, and then the year before you had 7. So they do expect these 2 claims to kind of keep going. That first claim, the medication's rather expensive. They do expect that to be about $150,000 to $200,000 in the future next year. I would tell you that if I see a lot of dollars for expected cost, underwriting has a tendency to kind of rate for that, and I don't think they did not do that in this case, because they do expect to have a few claims over 50,000, and this is not a really expensive one. They do expect some of these other claims to be about the same as they were before. When I talk about the 50 to 100,000 they expect, those are charges, so those are not allowed charges. So when you look at those are billed charges. So when you look at these claims that are on here that are 40, 30,000, they expect them to be about that, because you do get a discount over charges. So not bad when I look at large claims. And Kareem can contest that when we look at these, sometimes it's really bad news, and this is not bad news. So let me grab this. This is our renewal worksheet, kind of shows you your compare from one year to the next. We start talking about cost. So I'll go through here. You can see when I go to the rates, effective date, I'm looking at the right-hand side is what the renewal is. So we're looking at our lives have been stayed pretty consistent, 123. Time frame is a little bit different than what they looked at at the renewal, but this is what we're looking at going forward. So we're expecting to have 124, 125 people on the plan. We still have quite a few, again, a little bit more males than females. A lot of family, a lot of people that have family. Can you see this screen? Is this screen okay, or does it need to be a little bigger?
Nope, we're good.
Maybe make it. Okay. We talked about claims. You can see claims of how they've gone down a little bit. So that's good. Let's talk about individual stop loss. So individual stop loss, when you look at this column right here, this is where we have a tendency to see some rate increases. In the past, you were at 249, you were at the 285. Now it's going to be 324.55 going forward. We have our typical trend for our medical business is about 8.5%, a little over 8.5%. But when we talk about stop loss, it's a little bit different because we have a leverage trend. And the reason why we have a leverage trend is your stop loss level stays constant at 50,000, and our trend keeps getting higher. So that actually stop loss keeps getting smaller because our trend is making that smaller. So I would tell you that that would be one thing we might want to look at, is increasing your stop loss, especially with some dollars that you're saving in the plan, that the stop loss level can maybe be raised a little bit, and you can spend some of those dollars so you don't have these fixed costs. Our fully insured block of business, if you were fully insured, you would have a $75,000 pooling point. So 75,000 is kind of our typical stop loss level for groups this size. I'm not saying we need to go from 50 to 75, but I think what we should do is probably run some examples of what 60,000 would look like, or 65,000. I can run some at 75,000 too. And then we can have that conversation later on in the spring before we have to make any decisions on the renewal. So our typical leverage trend is running about 17%, a little over 17%. They're giving you credit, so the trend increase is 13.83%. Your ag is not changing, so it's at 8.39. It's not changing. Your network access fee is gone back down again. Typically, we look at that every year. We look at how many out of network or out of state blue card claims that are happening. So if people are going to Nebraska, or they're going to Minnesota, or they're going somewhere else, that has a tendency to drive those costs. So that number has gone down because the utilization has stayed in the state of Iowa. So it's at 11.03. The admin cost has gone up. Block of business, we do this on a block of business, so everybody pays the same percentage. They get the same rate. It kind of depends on the number of members or contracts that you have, is what you pay on admin costs. So that goes up by the block of business. The PBM fee for CVS has been consistent the last 2 or 3 years. That's $1.10, and there's a little bit of operating margin that's in here. So when I look down here at the next line, we look at ag reviews. When I originally sent this to Courtney and told her she'd asked me what the percentage was going to be, I went back to underwriting and asked them about claims. So when they look at these ag reviews, currently you're at 66% of what we expect claims to be to what actual really is. So again, you're growing your bank account because we're not asking for as many as we expected. In the past was the same way. So I went back to underwriting, and originally they had said they were not going to change expected claims. They came back and actually reduced that, and reduced it 1%. So basically your rates are almost staying the same. So they're going up just slightly. So that's a good sign. You don't usually see them lower claims very often. This is large claims information that I talked about. Again, a 13.8% increase in your stop loss. Again, there's just some notes over here that we put in here regarding the network access fee and your high medications. I did talk a little bit about maybe we should look at stop loss. But this information is here. Is basically we can discuss this if you like, but I want to make sure you can see where you were in the past to where you are today going forward. Questions?
Clark, there was a couple years ago, and Courtney can probably help with this. There was an individual claimant. It was a dependent that was high cost at the very beginning, and then we said we would realize an ongoing claims from this individual. How has, maybe Courtney can answer that, how has that worked out? It's probably not, it doesn't seem like there's, this looks like a very good report. So, I mean, I'm guessing that hasn't been an ongoing thing.
It is.
Was it last year, do you remember, or was it a couple years ago?
A couple years ago.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this report, you can see there's some dependence. So when you look at this column here, where it says relationship, you can see, let me make this a little bigger. So you can see the E for employee, and then you see some for dependents. And it looks like it's, there's a couple of them on here, but when you, those are children. You see some spouses on here too, but it looks like one got canceled down below.
Yeah, it's gonna be that line with the age 0 to 4. That 4.
Yeah, right. The artificial opening status.
But I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Okay, now I remember. We had the baby. It was at the University of Iowa Hospital, if I remember right.
Yep.
And I think what there's going to be, I think we know that there's going to be ongoing things because with the diagnosis of the baby, stages of the baby's life, there's going to be some surgeries. So that's probably going to happen again when they get a little bit older, that they're going to have to do some surgeries. So we know that that's going to happen. We know that's going to happen. And we usually know a time frame of when those ages are going to be. And I don't know. I can probably find that out.
Well, I'm just curious. I mean, it obviously hasn't had a big impact,
No, it hasn't right now. I know we had a big impact at the beginning because it was in the hospital for quite a while and had some surgeries at that time. But now that I remember, it is a diagnosis that we know that there's going to be stages of, when you get to be 8 years old, you're going to have something done, or a 7, or whatever it was.
All right.
So it's probably always going to show up on this list. Hopefully it's on the bottom part and not on the top. But yeah, I can dig a little bit deeper and see if I can find that out. We might want to know that, especially if we're going to look at raising our stop loss from 50 to 75,000, because you're going to take on additional $25,000 of the risk if you know what's going to happen. So when I order those alternates, I will dig in a little bit deeper on not only the cancer, but then the child that we know we had a couple years ago.
Okay.
Good
Thank
point.
you.
You bet. So underwriting throws this renewal summary together. It doesn't give you a lot of information, but it just kind of shows you where you are when it looks at claims. And then again, it's gone down. We expect those to go up 8.5%. You guys are going down 8.5%. So that's doing very well. Doing well. Look at the rate pages. Sorry, get back to the top here. So your most popular plan is the 750 plan. So stop loss, like I said, is going up. Admin cost is going up. Everything else is basically staying the same, except for network access fees going down a little bit. So those are your fixed costs. Like I said, your claims, your expected claims right here number has actually gone down slightly because I talked to underwriting and everything's running so well that they actually lowered those slightly. So your total rate of individual is $845.48 is the suggested rate. I know you're charging a little bit more than that. I did pull up last year's final rates. Again, I got to get to the top. So your currently suggested rate is $839.18, and you're moving to $845.48. So it's just slightly over. It's less than 1% when you look at those big dollar amounts. Again, I know you're charging your employees less than that, just because of your fund is running so well. And you can probably get away with not making any changes to your rates again. You look at your second most popular plan, those rates have gone up slightly as well. So they're at $779 for the individual. And you look at last year's final rates, bear with me, at $770. So again, just a slight increase to those suggested rates. And Courtney, I see here that we do not have anybody. Is that true, that we don't have anybody on the high deductible health plan?
We had one and we don't anymore, so that's correct.
Okay. Okay, so the plan's still there, but no one's being impacted.
Clark, I have a question for you
Yeah.
on that plan. On the averages, you look back at other plans and other companies that you deal with. What do you see as an incentive there? Do you see anything at all on any of these plans as an incentive to move your employees that way?
Typically what I see is not really a plan design, but I see a contribution level can be a little bit of an incentive. When you look at the you're talking about the high deductible health plan?
Yeah, the 2,000, 4,000, do you see a contribution from the employer to help that?
Yeah, what I've seen over the last couple of years, some groups and some people like to have money contributed to their HSA. But keep in mind, when you give them money to the HSA, it's their money now. It's no longer your money. So when they leave, they can do whatever they want with it. What I've seen groups do is they lower their the employee contributions, so the group would pay more. So you help them, incite them with less premium. Then hopefully they use that money to put it into an HSA. So when they do leave, you just don't pay any more premium, but you're giving it to them as contributions. So if you're doing an 85-15 or an 80-20 split, maybe you make it 90% for the high deductible health plan. Give them incentive saying, wow, that premium's quite a bit lower. Maybe I can, save some money in my HSA and manage my health a little bit better and save myself some dollars. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Now, Courtney, I got a question for you. When I look at this $1,500, you know why people select this $1,500 plan? Is it because of cost?
No, I think at one time, I think they were on it because they had
Was it the drug card?
one time, but I believe now they're the same.
Yeah, they're basically the same except for the deductible. What I would suggest is maybe looking at changing this a little bit different, maybe even looking at a different network. We have a Blue Choice network, which is our point of service network that can save some dollars here It's about 7 or 8% cheaper than our PPO network. The only thing they'd have to do is they'd have to pick a primary care physician. And the reason why they have to pick them is just for those ACA benefits. So if you want to get your annual physical, if you want to get a female exam, you would need to use your PCP. Otherwise, you can go to anywhere else in the network. And the network is basically the same as the PPO, except for a few, chiropractors is where we see a limited network. We also see some on some physical therapy, but every hospital, well, maybe not say every, 99% of the hospitals are in both networks. And there is also out-of-network benefits, so they can still go to Mayo Clinic. There's 3 different tiers of payment. We call it tier 1 is a primary care physician, tier 2 is anybody in the network, and tier 3 is an out-of-network benefit. And we can design that it would be very similar to the tier 2, if not having a little bit more, but you lose some of the discount. So then they might want to stay on the $1,500 plan and save themselves a little bit more money and really not really have an impact to themselves. Because I remember we added the drug card, was it last year or the year before, to the 750 plan? I think it was last year.
I think that's.
Let me see what those numbers were last year.
Maybe. And maybe.
Yeah, we had 20 people on that plan last year. Now we have 17.
I was gonna volunteer. Right? Am I right?
Something to say, like, I would bet you could pull 10 people and couldn't get.
Any more questions about the rates?
out of the 10 for the people.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Now we talk about total care. You guys have been a part of this for, since it started 3 or 4 years ago, with the McFarland Clinic having a big impact on Carroll County. So you see, you guys have quite a few people that are attributed, and people that are going to either McFarland Clinic or going to another network that we have contributed members. Or so you have quite a few. You see 155. That rate has gone up a little bit this year. Maybe I'll ask Kareem if he knows. I know last couple years ago, McFarland Clinic was by far our #1 network for savings. So they were rated high. And I think they're still in the top 2 or 3. Do you remember, Kareem? If they're still in the top couple, 2 or 3?
I think they took a little bit of a dip just because year over year, when you're looking at those averages and the quality scores, it's obviously harder to continue to improve. So I think others have caught up to them, but they're still at the very top, or within the top 3 at least.
But I think, Courtney, since we've done this, I think that might have, it's like I told you in the beginning, they get paid a little bit differently. They get not only quality scores, but they need to save some dollars for those people that are attributed to them. So if somebody goes to them as their family doctor, they really want to manage the cost and want to manage the care. Again, that's how they get paid, and they get paid a little bit score wise. But I think since we've done this, Courtney, we've seen a pretty good increase to the decrease to your expected claims. So I don't know if they've had that big of an impact, but I think they've had an impact. So when you look at the cost of this on an annual basis, it's anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000 to participate. So you guys are funding some of those dollars that they can get paid. Questions? Well, I also have the dental renewal, and I told Courtney, I know we just implemented this a short while ago, and we had quite a little bit of participation, which is good. But when we do a voluntary dental in that first year or first 2 years, we have a tendency to have people with claims with their enrollment form in one hand and the claim form in another hand. So we have an increase in your dental. Dental went up 14.5%. I was told by our dental folks that they wanted or needed more, but they wanted to not go that high just because there was a big increase in claims last year. When you look towards the bottom here, you can see that they had about a 200% increase in what the claim dollars were. But they're not anticipating that to continue. So when you get your crown fixed, you have a tendency to not continue to go to the doctor to get a crown fixed because it's been fixed, it's fixed. It's a little different than medical. So there is a 14.5% increase. So you're going from 37, 33. Courtney's doing the math because you enroll, Courtney?
Yeah,
So you have your children or your whole family?
just my kids and myself.
Okay.
And I'm one of the,
So yeah, it's going up $10 a month.
so, I mean, that doesn't seem terrible to me, but
No, I agree. When you talk about 14%, it seems like a lot, but you're talking about smaller numbers. So if it was 14% of your $800 medical premium, then you're talking some dollars. So the nice thing about it is you still get some preventatives, you get some benefits still.
I don't think so.
So questions?
Any questions for Clark?
what about the vision part?
I did not get the vision one. I need to ask them about that. I think you might be in the middle of a rate guarantee,
Okay,
but I will ask for that. And then what I'll do is, like I said earlier, I will order a couple stop loss options just to look at what it would do to your fixed costs. And I'll look at your risk as well if we do raise that from 50 to 60. I will also show you the 75,000 just to see what that would do, especially when you're only talking about 2 or 3 claims that you're getting every year that are over the 50. Your exposure still would be pretty low because you don't have a massive amount of claims that are going to stop loss. And then again, I'll dig in a little bit deeper on that child that we know that cost us some claim dollars a couple years ago. Would you like me to, Courtney, would you like me to run an alternate on that second plan, that $1,500 plan, to maybe look at some Blue Choice network?
Clark, two things. Would you look at that Blue Choice, and would you also look at an 80/20 there?
that's on our side
Or
though. The
change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look at the Blue Choice. And I'll do that for the $1,500 plan. I will actually run that for the high deductible health plan too.
Just for curiosity's sake, I think more than anything else, Clark, but if you could do that.
Okay. No, I will do that, and I'll design it that it's pretty close to what we have currently on the PPO. So if somebody went to that, it would not affect them too much, but they will have a little bit more out-of-pocket costs if they did go to an out-of-network provider. And I don't know what COVID will do, going forward. Once it slows down, we'll see an uptick of people going to get some things done. I think a lot of those things are already currently they're doing those things. So some elective surgeries and stuff, the surgery centers are all back open and stuff. I don't know. COVID is still an animal that we are dealing with every day.
Have you heard anything, the long-term ramifications? Are you guys looking at long-term out of this?
No.
The long haulers?
Well, I mean, well, not just the long haulers with the COVID, but things that may affect. Are you seeing anything that might pop up on your radar that might affect our insurance rates in the future? Because there's someone that did have COVID-19 at one time, maybe even in a younger part of their life or an older part of their life that may start affecting them 3 years down the road.
I think all those things are still fluid things that we're just learning. Everybody's learning as we go. I think now we're starting to hear of people, you see some NBA players that are getting it the second time, there's some people that are going to get it the second time. I think one thing is the vaccine, once we get it all going, it's probably going to be a yearly thing, kind of like the flu, that you're going to get a COVID vaccine. And then there'll probably be another stage of it. But I think there definitely is some people that are having some serious issues after they get out of the hospital. They're still having breathing issues. They're still having lung issues. They're still having some medical claims. But again, all of those are still kind of fluid. We don't know exactly how long they're going to continue. Will they ever get better? I don't know. I mean, it's just so fresh. Those good questions.
Well, I've seen any uptick in some of the people that have had it about the things that pop up later if you're starting to see a friend or.
Sorry, this is Kareem. I was just going to add to what Clark was saying is, yeah, it's still a fluid situation. Obviously, more data needs to be there to know what the long-term effects, but within our renewals, actuarially, we are adding some actual factors. We have completion factors within the formula to determine where the renewal is going to be. It's a small component, but we've increased that by about 5 to 7% to account for, those elective surgeries that people didn't get, also any, potential long-term effects of COVID. So it is actuarially, we are accounting for it somewhat within our renewals. But to your specific question about long-term effects and what potential is there for people, I think that's still, being researched and not completely known yet.
Okay, anything else, Clark?
I don't have anything else. I got a little list of things to do, and I'll get those done and send those to Courtney once I get them.
Any other questions for Clark?
So, Clark, you made up a packet for us like you do every year. Courtney, you don't have that though, is that correct?
Yeah, I was gonna email you. I didn't get the annual report.
I'll get that to you, Courtney.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I have a binder. No, I'm not gonna have a binder. They won't let me go to the office. Kareem won't let me go to the office. So I will send you all these pieces via email. And you'll have to make your own binder. How's that sound?
Okay.
That's fine.
But you'll have all the same pieces. I'll get that annual report to you. And I don't know if you got the dental or not. I'll send that to you as well. And then if you need anything else, let me know. Hopefully you have everything else we talked about. And then I will forward you these alternates once I get them, Courtney.
Okay, good enough then.
Yeah, appreciate your time.
Well, thank you, Clark. Stay safe. Okay.
Yep, you guys too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Okay. Next we have is committee reports.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Last week, Monday, Rich and I met with Dalton for his IT pre-budget. And we met with Sarah for GIS on Monday. Wednesday was executive board for the landfill. There's going to be no raise on their tipping fee. It's staying at $45 a ton. And they're bringing on Cass County, which they're estimating will be around $50,000 in revenue this year. Thursday, I sat in on the US 30 coalition meeting with Gene and Dean. And then this week, I'm meeting with Stacy Van Tiger from Foster Grandparents and RSVP, 9 o'clock on Thursday, there's a meeting they have to. Any question?
Okay, thank you, Scott. Who wants to go next?
I can, Gene.
Okay,
Monday, I had IT GIS budget meeting. Tuesday, you and I met with Courtney on her budget. I also did something last week on the Randy Teamster with the chamber. On Thursday, I had a COG meeting at Region 12. That was the loan review committee and the transportation updates. The loan review was good. We did make one loan. And then the transportation on from the local ridership is starting to pick up over in Crawford. We're starting to see a little more riders. We still have one bus trip that we're currently not doing right now, but they have called and made some inquiries about when the startup time is. So I think we're getting close to starting that. Friday, we had a Zoom meeting on Rolling Hills. That was very, very interesting meeting, a couple-hour meeting, and we still did not get much resolved. We have some questions on a program that we either may drop. We may 50% fund it this year and then drop it to next year. We're still looking for some more information on that. We did have the Plains area mental health. They are a provider for us. They found a $500,000 grant. So they will be splitting that over 2 years. So they'll be asking for $234,000 less this year from Rolling Hills than they were anticipating. The budget is still a topic of hot discussion. We will be having another meeting this week on it, and we hopefully get finalized. It appears that on the initial, it looks like $39 is probably going to be the consensus. There was one county wanting to jump to the $42.79 right away, but I think everybody else was towards $39. We'll see where that goes on Wednesday. Like I said, and then also on next Wednesday, I will have the Iowa workforce, the statewide workforce development meeting at 11, and Rolling Hills at 1:30. Then Friday, I'll have the local workforce development from the part of the WIWD. The local workforce will be having their second meeting, and that will all be done via Zoom. Tonight, I'll also try to watch the roundtable from the McFarland and the hospital. Other than that, I had a quiet week. This upcoming week don't look too bad.
okay.
I can go next. On Monday night, had the let's see here, had the conservation board meeting. There was a Hart lease update. This contract is due for some property down by the Riverside Trail in Coon Rapids in 2026. There are some concerns about the way from the family, not necessarily from Dick Hart, but family members on concerns about how that's been handled. And I don't think anything's going to happen until 26 anyway, but they're looking at some options, what to do with that situation there. They had an update on the East Shelter House. coming along really well. Basically all enclosed and doing finish work on the inside. They had an update, Jason had an update on the revenues for the year. He'll be covering most of this when he presents to the board his budget, but I can just give you a few numbers here. The Swan Lake, with the slow start it had the second highest camping revenues in the last 10 years at 140,000. The total camping revenues was the highest they ever had through all the parks at right at $170,000. Total revenues for the last 10 years is $1,490,000, and all but $2 per fee goes back to the general fund on that. The camping, see if I can find the camping here. Or not the camping, but the cabin rentals. Jason's got way too many handouts here. Okay, on the grand total for, well, let's see, in 2020, the North Cabin generated $10,000. The Bison Cabin generated $15,000. So the smaller cabin up front did actually more than the other one, for a total of about $25,000 for the cabin revenue. Reservations to date look like they're about $9,000 for 2021. Let's see, what else would I have here? I think that's probably about it as far as, then there's revenues for the Sauk Rail Trail was up considerably, and it was due to some things that Jess Ludwig has been doing, going out and generating, going to businesses and giving them breaks on passes if they would have their employees sign up. And so in annual pass, the total Sauk Rail Trail revenue was $21,000, which is really significant. All right, what else there? So Jason did present the budget to the board, and he'll be bringing that to the Board of Supervisors. Fees, there were slight increases in fees this year, nothing real dramatic there. And we had just a quorum, so they did not do any board appointments at that time. I also completed my department head meetings on Monday. On Thursday, had the Highway Coalition meeting, which Gene and Scott were in on that. Just some notes from that. The Highway 218 overpass is complete. This is from the DOT. And there's a bridge 4 miles east of Denison will be will be worked on starting in July, late July. I don't think it's a big project the way they sounded, but there's going to be some issues there. It sounds like the 13 miles from Tama to Highway 21 is slated to be paved next year. And the old Highway 30 in that stretch will be graded into the ditch next fall. So the old is going away. The new 4-lane is coming. I think there was some concern about the DOT well, I think they actually put it in their plan, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not, because there's going to be considerable pushback, and that would be a Super 2 between Lisbon and DeWitt, and that's scheduled to be done in 2025. There's a economic study that is slated to be done. I think that's supposed to probably start this year with Snyder and Associates. And that would be a study that will be done between Ogden and Carroll, and hopefully get some activity started there. Let's see, next was Board of Health meeting on Thursday. Of course, the big conversation was about COVID-19 and vaccines. Both the hospital and the McFarland Clinic have had virtually no influenza outbreaks at all. I mean, the influenza, I don't know if it's because people are just staying home, but there's been very little influenza at all. The COVID vaccine update, and a lot of this stuff we will hear from the update this afternoon at 5:30. But they've gotten 800 doses of the vaccine. 600 went to St. Anthony Regional Hospital. 100 went to McFarland Clinic, and 100 went to the Manning Regional Hospital. The phase 1B is scheduled to start February 1st, and that would be the 75-year-olds. Let's see. Then as far as environmental health, Carrie gave her report, and the board approved her 21-22 budget, and the same for the home care aides and Megan Owen. They also approved that budget. On Friday, had the first quarter meeting of the North Raccoon River Watershed Management Coalition, and we couldn't. It was an hour-and-a-half meeting. We could not get a quorum, so basically we waited for a quorum to be generated. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't approve minutes, or we just heard from speakers, and there was some updates on the watershed itself. Of the $2.8 million that was granted for the projects up in Buena Vista, primarily Buena Vista County and Pocahontas County, roughly half of that has been spent already, and the rest of it will probably start this spring. They have to have those dollars spent by December 1st. There's still discussion about getting a watershed coordinator. That's because there wasn't a quorum, there wasn't a lot of discussion about that. Let's see. The end of the meeting, there was, I think they're going to send out a list again of all the voting members, and they're going to try to glean that down. I think there's probably close to 70 voting members. So I mean, even just to get a quorum, you have to have 36 people. And so small communities that have really nothing to do with the watershed, or very, very little to do with the watershed, are going to be asked to be removed from the watershed, so that it'll be a lot easier getting a quorum. I did fill the trustee position for Maple River Township. Courtney, is that something we have to approve?
Yeah, we can do it. We can make the appointment next week.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, let's add it to the agenda.
Okay. I think that's it. Any questions on any of that? You know, I think we want to make sure we watch at 5:30 today for the COVID vaccination update. I think it's going to be very beneficial going forward. So that's it. I have nothing this week, really. I got it all done last week.
Okay, I'll go next. On Tuesday, I had my last budget meeting with the auditor with Rich. Had that done on Tuesday. And then at noon, I listened on the CADC, the webinar with Congressman Feenstra. Two things I thought that I picked out of there: that he is very much supports the TIF programs, and that he is willing to support Highway 30. Then on Friday, or on Thursday, I sat in on the Highway 30 meeting, and I think everybody's talked about that enough. Friday, I had the Yes Center board meeting, and we had our election of officers, and our officers stayed the same with Don Cass being the president and Nancy McDonald being the vice president. On the executive board are the same officers again, which is Barry Anderson, Kyle Schultz, and myself, and an alternate of Rick Mogden. We did do some, had a discussion on the transportation in regard to vehicles again. We are going to look into possibly trying to buy some fairly new used ones, or even look at possibly another lease of another vehicles like we did the last time. We did talk on, we voted on a banking resolution that we had to do. And also that currently she reported that we were, that day on Friday, where there's 9 kids in there. We had 11 the day before. We averaged 8.9 for the month, and we had 3 BIA kids in there on an average, except for the day that on Friday there was only 2 there. She reported all the staff had been vaccinated. They are short of help right now with people having things going on and stuff. So they've been doing a lot of shifting with working with workers and stuff. The transports have been running to 6 to 8 per day. One day they had 11 of them, and out of that 11, one of them was a 12-hour drive. I will say the financials of the year, all the years I've been on that board, probably it looked as good as they have ever. Of course, again, we have a lot of kids up there, and things have been, that's kind of the way it's been. The other thing on Saturday, I did try to listen in on the legislative forum on that. And then the last week, I also started, I'm also doing on the scholarship committee for ISAC. I have started going through reviewing them. There's about close to 30 applicants that we have to review and judge. And I will be working on that the rest this week. This week, Thursday or Tuesday, CADC has another meeting. And then I think we have a jail progress meeting on Thursday. So Dean, you're not totally free this week.
Oh, okay.
But I think we do have one another on Thursday at, I think that's at 10 o'clock if I remember right. Okay.
Gene, do you know why we have another jail update since we just had one 2 weeks ago? Hopefully we can get on that.
Yeah, well, when we set this up, I kind of questioned that. They said that, I thought, yeah, there's supposed to be one the 21st far as I got my notes.
You want me to reach out to Tony and see if there's an actual update? I don't really know what.
Well, I was thinking that I seen an email come from Mike on that too also, but I might be wrong.
Okay.
I will check on that for sure, and I'll let you all know, okay?
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Gene. All right, I can go next. Last week I finished up my budget with Ashton, and then I misspoke last week. I thought we had Carroll area daycare, but that's actually today. And then we did have a Wesco meeting Monday night. Everything's going there, going very well there. Their turnover is really low. They did get their round of vaccines, and as of right now, 38% of the staff is going to receive the vaccine. And you have 70 to 80% of the clients that are going to receive the vaccine. After that, I did head to Des Moines for Leadership Iowa for the government program. Talk about a very well-rounded. It was a great experience. We had Ambassador Terry Branstad, the former governor. He came and spoke, along with Heidi Burhans, the director of elections, Aaron Johnson from the Ankeny School Board, and Senator Brown, Senator Kinley, Representative Ann Meyer, and Representative Kristen Sunday. A lot of these conversations are based on what their responsibilities and roles are as in their elected positions, and then also talked about some of the COVID issues that they're seeing and what they see going forward for with the new administrative, whether it be good things or some things that are going to be setbacks. And then we had a presentation done by Dave Roeder. He is the Iowa Department of Management. He did a fantastic presentation of the state budget, how the state budget is come about, and showing us what 2021 looked like and how the state is fiscally in a great position right now, and what the next few years presents, and maybe some of the hurdles that the state of Iowa might be facing. And then one that was interesting to me, I never really got to fully understand until now, the judiciary side of things. I understood it, but we got some insight from Judge Nailmark, Judge Swartz, Sharon Greer, and then Justice Walterman from the Iowa Supreme Court. So it's kind of neat to hear on the backside, the inside, how the system works and where the general public might think one thing, but upholding the law and hearing them personally open up about some cases that they've seen was a really neat thing. And I did send out an application for Leadership Iowa to consider Carroll County as a place to come in the future. I think it would be a great opportunity for Carroll County to have anywhere from 35 to 40 leaders, whether it's economic development, bank leaders from around the state of Iowa, to come to Carroll County and see what we have to offer, whether it's manufacturing, industrial, economic development, and how we continue to prosper and want to grow in Carroll County. So I did do that, which I'm hoping to hear back. Then after that, I did receive some phone calls, just all basing around secondary roads, which I'll get with Zach on that. This coming week, I have Carroll area daycare at 12 today, which could be an interesting phone call. There's some executive orders that we might be looking at going forward, and we're going to start trying to have that conversation now with the minimum wage increase and what that looks like for not only the staff, but the parents going forward, and the price that we are going to have to potentially pass along to the parents as far as a rate. But we're going to start those conversations today just to be a little bit more proactive the rest of the week. gonna check on the jail meeting, but that is all I have.
Stephanie, I did look back at my notes and I do have a note here from Mike that on the 21st, we're gonna have one, but I will follow up with him and double check that for sure, okay? And I'll get back to you all. Courtney, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay, any comments from those in attendance or on YouTube?
Nothing online, Dean.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Yep, second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary, motion carried. Everyone take care. Have a good